Oh, I
Because
try to.
if you
But
don't
nowadays,
invite me,
are you on the farm or you are back?
if you don't invite me, how would I appear on your program? Except to say that we are many, so
Yes.
other equally essential persons who can contribute to the program must also show their face on the show to give the diversity. That I agree. Other, in a while, your listeners will not be happy with you. They will think that
You are
I
the one.
deliberately avoiding you.
I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. But it's wonderful to speak to you this morning. This morning, we're having a discussion on increasing fuel prices.
But first, your question, I'm not in the farm. I'm in Accra.
Okay, welcome.
Cost of farming this year has been on the high. So we have reduced our farm size from 250 to 50 acres. Because
no, that is 250 to 50 acres.
Yes.
So you are doing 1/5 of what you used to do.
Yes, and let's please indulge me a little on this one.
Okay.
See, last year we bought a bag of fertilizer at 106 Ghana cedis, and to do an acre for maize, you need a minimum of 3 bags. So for the 250, that means that we bought 750 bags of fertilizer, and so you had 500 nitrogen, and then 250 ammonia. This year, a bag of fertilizer is 420 Ghana cedis, away from 106 Ghana cedis. And so
an increase from 106 to
420.
Wow.
And so it doesn't matter how you project it. You will probably be projecting maybe a 50%, 100% increase. You will never have projected a over 400% increase in the cost of fertilizer alone. And that is just one input. Other inputs are there. Seeds, inoculants, weedicides, pesticides, and all that. So I'm being very honest about what is happening. And so from 260 acres, we have to come down to 50 acres. That is, we have even been, just that we don't keep away from the farm. And more importantly, because we have some animals there, you can't just say that you will not farm. You have to keep the farm a little active. So that is the state of farming for me, and I'm sure that many people. So I cannot be in the farm as regularly as I used to be.
Okay, so basically what you're doing is to keep the farm running at this point.
Yes.
Wow. Is there any level of profitability in it for the 50,000?
Well, what will you do? Because I have some horses on the farm, I have some cattle, and I had just done a solar pump so that I can do an all-year farm on some portions of it. And so the kind of investment that we have put in there, you can't just let it go simply because input prices have gone skyrocketed. And so we have to keep it and hope that in the dry season we'll be able to utilize the solar pump and then the irrigation system so that we can keep hope alive. I can also tell you that it's not just always about the fiscal cash or liquidity issues that makes profit. Sometimes if you go to the farm, and I go to the farm, and you get about 200 women working on the farm for about 2 weeks, and each day, say they get 10 cedis per day, you know that you have contributed to making life meaningful for somebody. You understand? So you get more satisfaction from the kind of things you do. At the end of the day, you run at a loss. And I think that last year, you know that I suffered a number of things. One, about 25 acres of our farm got flooded. Then 2, about 50 acres of the farm, when it was ready to harvest, got burnt. And that was the prime area that got burnt. And so things were not as good as we were expecting. We managed to be able to pay our overhead expenditures, thinking that we were ready to start farming, only for input prices to get to where they are. And it became something difficult. And that's why some of us are at pain that in the midst of these difficulties, and knowing very well that, and this is what I say all the time, anytime there is food poverty or food shortage in society, human rights are affected. because food is a fundamental human rights issue. Aside that, it also becomes a national and international security issue. Because anytime people are hungry, they easily get agitated and they can resort to violence. And so the level of insecurity in our system will be heightened simply because there is no absence of food. Any reasonable government will be doing everything possible to promote and to augment the production of food. Unfortunately, we are busy spending money on phantom national cathedral or personal cathedral of the president, and then to the neglect of agriculture.
And that's the point. That was the point I was coming to, because there's a lot of talk about planting for food and jobs. You were doing 250 acres. You're saying there's nothing coming from there. If you're buying $750, there's no subsidy from them to help you.
To be honest with you, we had even gone to start early this year. We had gone to start clearing a portion of the land to add so that we can get 450. We have left all that area we have cleared. We wanted to increase the farmland because one thing, food prices have gone up, matter. You have to think. And so we cleared land. And you know what it means to use a bulldozer to go and clear land. That's 4,000 a day. So if you use a bulldozer for 25 days times 4,000, you know how much you have spent. And then you cannot use the land because if you go and plow, we are fortunate to have a tractor. But you go and plow it, you can sow because you can't even buy the seeds and seedlings to go and plant. And the support is not coming. I know many young people who applied through this agri-care. And then the farming season is almost getting over. No, they have called them for interviews and what have you. And then that's all. You just go and they say they have done training. Release the money. You are waiting for the farming season to be over. Then you say you are releasing money so that they will go and do what with it. So certainly it appears that, look, we don't know what we are doing. And probably because our minister is excited to become flag bearer of the new patriotic party, his concentration on promoting agriculture or ensuring that things are done has been taken away from him.
That's interesting, because we're just talking about fuel prices. We're linking it to the price of food on the market. You were doing 250 acres. You are down to 50 acres. I don't know how many farmers have had to reduce acreage because of the cost of inputs. If that is what we are looking at, then we have a threat ahead, don't we?
Oh, certainly we do have. And you know that the poultry farmers depend on, or the animal farmers, let me put it generally, they depend on those who do crop farming. And so, for instance, last year, we did about 92 acres of soya, and we did 142 acres of maize, and then we had other crops added. So this year, our combined acreage will be only 50. So you do about 30 acres of soya and 20 acres of maize. Those who used to buy from us so that they can augment the poultry feed on their supplement, certainly they are going to run short. So the prices of food or food supplement for the animal industry is going to be on the high. So either they run out of business completely, or we are going to again spend a lot of money importing chicken and other poultry products into this country. So it has a huge impact, not only transportation, but when you keep importing, you are importing inflation. A situation we have not been able to contend with. And when food prices are on the high, it means that you have so much money chasing little food in the system. It will also lead to inflation. And so we are in a serious threat. And as you have pointed out, fuel prices have a major effect on agriculture, because I use machinery on the farm. I have to buy diesel and petrol. So when I'm using tractor, I have to use petrol. When I have to use the dozer to clear some portions, I have to use diesel. When I have to use my boom sprayer or my planter, they all have to run with fuel. And so, bro, when fuel prices begin to increase, the impact on agriculture and agricultural productivity cannot be subsumed. And I can tell you that, look, it's not only affecting and impacting transport fares. It's not only affecting the cost of education. You know that when fuel prices increase, it impacts the cost of education. Because, hey, I have my children I have to take to school. And I am not available because I have to go out early in the morning to go and be doing programs. So I have to get them through some public transportation to go to school. When fuel prices increase, they increase transport fares. And I'm sure that you are aware that the transport unions this week will be meeting to consider a raise in transport fares. So when that transport fares increase, and that means that the cost of sending my ward to school will also increase. So when you come and tell me that you are providing free education and the cost of transporting my ward to school is on the high side, I don't value the so-called free education that you are bringing. So the cost of education is on the high. Cost of agricultural productivity is on the high. Cost of industry is on the high. And you, most often, when the national grid is off and you have to use generator, it means that the cost of producing this show will also be on the high. And so everything is on the high simply because fuel prices are on the high.
And so, because when you speak to government, usually they say it is not their fault. The problem is Russia, Ukraine, among other things that are contributing to the rising prices of the commodity on the market. And then we are talking about the cedi's performance against the dollar, among others, which are all external factors. So I don't know what we can do in this circumstance. First of all, what do you make of how government responds in the midst of this?
I don't know, but you are just by your computer now, and I'm sure that you can do the statistics. When the Russian-Ukraine war started, it is not up to 5 months, right? Before the 5 months, were fuel prices on the tendency. Before the Russia invasion of Ukraine, was fuel price on the decline? Fuel prices were rising. And we had almost every week increment in fuel price. There was no Russia invasion of Ukraine. So if Russia, Ukraine has come in, and you come and use that as the reason for which fuel prices are on the high, it is like giving a dog a bad name so that you can kill it. Certainly, Ghana's fuel prices situation were always on the high side. Number two, Ghana is also an oil producing country. And when you produce, you export. Even if you decide that the 13%, given that there is Russia-Ukraine crisis, you will no more export the 13% of your share. You will refine your 13%. You will recalibrate your oil refinery so that you'll be able to process it here. Will that not go a long way to ensure that you are able to produce and sell in the domestic market? What has been our response domestically? Number two, companies are producing from your shores and they are selling the oil to other countries so that they can meet their oil needs and they produce from your country. What you can do as a government is to tell them that, look, a certain percentage of your production or your ownership must be sold to the government of Ghana. You have produced it, we'll buy it so that we'll be able to use that to cushion our domestic needs. If you don't do that, your level of leadership is not reasonable. I hope you understand.
Yeah.
That is what we should do.
And in that regard, the issue of, because if we are buying from those who are drilling here, if we are taking some from them, we'll have to refine what they are producing. And the issue of Tor has come up this morning once again. I know you have a history with Tor. Should that be in the debate?
Precisely, that is what I'm saying, that you have to recalibrate your production units at Tor so that they'll be able to refine the kind of oil that we have. Because anytime you talk, they will say that the oil we are producing in Ghana, Tor cannot refine it, so we normally have to import crude. Then I ask how useless we are. How useless we can be, that we have something that we know cannot produce. The essence of Tor was that at the time that it was being established, it was predicted that Ghana had some reservoir of oil, deposits of oil, and that we will come and use them in future. So all these years, why can't we calibrate it so that we'll be able to do it? See, somewhere in 2006, it took the then Minister for Finance, Ban Redu, to start to talk about the privatization of Tor, and they wanted to sell it. You can check. I wrote an article and saying that Ghana, have we not learned from the past? And I cataloged the reason why Tor should not be sold. Somehow, we were able to mass up civil society resistance against the sale of Tor, and we were able to secure Tor. When Atta Mills and John Mahama came into office, they managed to make Tor vibrant, and then Tor started producing. All of a sudden, when the MPP under Akufo-Addo came into office, Tor has gone comatose. What is it that is with the MPP that they deliberately come down to run down state enterprises so they can sell to themselves or their cronies? So it is not an issue, and this is what I have said. You see, there is this foolish notion that when a state institution is not making profit, that you should sell it. It's useless. You understand? When I have my house, and because I am poor, you tell me to sell the house and go and rent. I go and rent for how many years? For how many years? The rent will be exhausted. I'll have no house to go back to. And that has been the mentality. You come and tell me the reason why a state institution is not doing well is that we have inefficiency. How is selling of assets a cure to the inefficiency that exists in the system? So if there is inefficiency, what it means is that the people you have employed to do the work are not competent to do the work. Sack them. And bring in more competent people that will be able to handle the situation. Sometimes it may require to even go outside of your country to go and bring expertise to come and handle the situation. We have not done that. So if we have not done that, why do you think that we can do well?
0.
Why do you think that we can do well?
But you essentially are an activist, and I'll land on this point because you spent your entire life reacting to government policy. So what that means is that, like you said, at one breath you had to demonstrate, to use all kinds of means to put pressure on a government that was intent on privatizing Tor to prevent them from doing that. Are we reacting properly? Are we reacting in a way that will force government to act under the circumstances?
No. And I am heavily disappointed, particularly in the main opposition political party, or the only opposition political party in parliament, that is the National Democratic Congress. Their level of lethargy is unbelievable. You cannot sit down and be organizing lectures and think that that is sufficient to force a government to take certain actions for the benefit of the people of Ghana. As we sit here, whether I am PNC, I am CPP, I am any political party, all of us have hope in the fact that we don't have any representation apart from the NDC in parliament. So the NDC now becomes the opposition, and we all constitute the opposition. But it appears that the NDC wants to go on a tea party and expect that Akpele can come out of it. It will not. See, I have said this time without number. The leadership of the NDC must learn probably from what President Kufuor did, and even the President Akufo-Addo, and probably President Mills. President Mills, when he believed in some actions and thought that fuel prices were increased beyond the reach of the people of Ghana under President Kufuor. He joined us in our Wahala demonstrations in this country. Even at the time that his health was failing him, President Mills did not turn back because he believed that fuel prices had an impact on every aspect of the Ghanaian and the Ghanaian economy. He joined us, whether it was in Techiman, whether it was in Tamale, whether it was in Cape Coast, whether it was in Takoradi, whether it was in Koforidua, or it was in Volta region. I'm not even going to count the number of times he joined us in the Accra demonstrations. He participated to send the signal. Today, the leadership of the NDC don't show up. And see, anytime President Mills was participating in the demonstrations, you know what happened? The leadership of Parliament at the time, including the then minority leader, Alvan Suman and Kingsford Bagbin, they all had to come and participate because the leader of their party was participating. And when they are coming, they come with their numbers. Today, we have to be struggling. Civil society and pressure groups alone cannot struggle. The main opposition should also show muscle in these struggles. The fight in Parliament is not sufficient. So we must demonstrate it outside. And that is where I have an issue with President Mahama. That as it stands now, you are the immediate major leader of the opposition. You cannot be doing other things. Then you come and issue 9 statements, 9 words. I read his statement on the 30th anniversary of the NDC, and I said, wow, a real catalogue of the challenges confronting us and how far Akufo-Addo has run down our society. You think that statements alone can do the magic? Even the Bible says that man must not survive by bread alone. And so, therefore, I don't think that issuing statements and talking good English is the answer. Let them join us in our manifestation.
Mr. Mornah, thank you for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you. I'm sorry if I became emotional.
Oh, no, I understand. In fact, these are very tough, frustrating days. And so I understand how long you've been working on this farm. And anyway, but thank you for speaking to us.
Thank you for having me, sir.